Hey everyone, welcome back. I've got a week and a half left till that Europa goes to paint. So I'm hitting it hard. So today's going to be more fiberglass, more bodywork, get you up to speed. All these videos are real time. I'm not recording these like weeks in advance. Every week I'm just throwing on the internet what I do that week. Just so you guys can follow along in real time, because it takes time to get this stuff done. So anyway, make really good progress this week. We'll have one video after this one where all my stuff is done and it goes off to paint. And then we can start looking at the mechanics again and the braking system and setting up the steering and all. We got a lot to do. The engine, we haven't even got the engine running yet. So I'm looking forward to jumping back on the mechanics, because fiberglass work is just not my favorite thing. I don't know how body guys do it. Thank God they exist. I respect them. I love what they do. But boy, oh boy, I would not want to do it full time. Anyway, that being said, let's roll in and I'll bring you up to date where we are. All right, let's get you caught up on progress. So here we go. It's been a few days of working since the last video I did. You saw this driver's side door jam in the last time. So that's continuing to get work, a little refinement, been working on the corners, but I need to get the right tools to really sculpt that inner corner. So I did buy a tiny little detail band sander, which is cool, and a corner orbital sander, so that's helpful. The bulkhead, shadows. I reinforced the bulkhead. It has a nice thick fiberglass mat. Reinforced the floors, nice thick fiberglass mat. Boy, did that really stiffen the car up too. I tell you, I used to step in there and the whole car would flex, and now it's just gained so much rigidity. It's pretty cool. It's rewarding. And there's the inside of the door jamb. It's looking pretty good. It's all fiberglassed in. All the structural work is done. Now it's a little bit of detail work. And yes, I started painting because I needed some enthusiasm, encouragement. So I sanded the whole front and I put a coat of epoxy paint on there. It's actually bilge paint for boats. It's great. Chemical resistant, water resistant. So everything will just wipe right off of that. So I thought it was a good choice for the interior. You're not going to see any of that when the car is assembled, but just to know it's there, it's clean, I've been through everything, sanded everything, that's a good feeling. Oh, the tabs on the dashboard. So I did get those fiberglassed in, and I used a thin piece of aluminum sheet metal behind there. I bent it at a 90, and then I screwed them into the dash, and then fiberglassed on top of that, and I decided to just leave the aluminum behind it because it gives it a lot of strength. So these things are pretty strong now. They're not going to come off. It's moving the whole dashboard with it. But that dashboard is so thin, or that upper section, that I wouldn't want to sit on it because you'd definitely break it. And the rear window. So the previous owner had drilled holes all the way around and riveted in a fiberglass window. So I took that out. And I filled all the holes on the inside. I kind of ground them down and feathered the grind out into the existing fiberglass, and then came in with some epoxy filler and took care of those. Everything I did on the car used epoxy filler. So I had to be careful with what materials I used, because you can't just use a regular, when it comes time to really do the fill in the little holes everywhere, I've got to make sure it's compatible with epoxy. So I've been using West System, and they have, different additives for the different steps or phases you're in as you build this back up and you smooth everything out. So that's worked pretty well. So the rest of the day today, I've got some fiberglass drying right there on the weather seal strip or lip to thicken that up a little bit. And I had a couple little voids, so I've got some filler drying. But what I want to do today, one more thing. I did do the roof. What a pain in the ass that was. Oh my God. Let me show you that. So why was it a pain? Because the old headliner was glued on and it had the sponge backing and it just stuck everywhere and there was glue up there. So you got to get in the car and you're kind of like contorting yourself to try to get a sander up there. It was not a fun job because everything falls on your head. But I was like saying to myself, God, just do it, just get it done and move on. And that's what I did. So that's all looking really good. It's ready. It's pretty much ready to finish painting on the inside now. You know, I do like the gray. Could have gone black, but this lets me kind of see everything a lot better. And if I have any imperfections or areas that need to be addressed, I can go back and address those. So that's where we are so far. Yeah, tools everywhere. That's the arsenal I've been using. Here's more of the arsenal. There's the belt sander, grinders, detail sanders, big orbital sander. I mean, you name it, man, I've used it on this project. It's taken a lot of various tools. Oh boy, what a mess. And all right, I'm going to talk for a second about these types of projects. So first off, this is a really small car compared to a lot of cars people try to restore. And the good thing about that is you make faster progress. And that's encouraging because you see the progress and you want to keep going with the project. That's great. Even with a small car, all this interior work, these door jambs and all this fiberglass work, filling holes on the fenders and the front bumper and the back bumper and all that, in the engine compartment, around the window, it takes a lot of time and it's not fun work. And when it's hot out, it's just, it made me think while I'm working, you know, I'm like in my head all the time and I'm thinking about other people and other projects. So I just want to hit on that for a second. I wonder, if I had to guess, like all the people out there that buy a project car and they're like, yeah, this is it. I'm going to go through this project car. It'll be fun. It'll be easy. And I'm going to take my time and get it done. I don't know. You can tell me in the comments, but I have a hunch only 15–20% of those cars ever get restored. I think a lot of them get torn down because that's really fun and rewarding and easy. All you do is unbolt stuff and it exposes more things behind it and you're like, oh cool, now I can take that off and now I can take that off. And you get the whole car apart. That's not that difficult. Well, suspension can be difficult, but body, interior, and things like that, it's doable. I think people underestimate the actual amount of hours that it takes to do a job like this. And you know, you go to a body shop or you go to a restoration shop and they'll tell you, or you see a car that's been restored and they're like, we have X thousands of hours in this car. And you really can't comprehend that. You know, it's like the size of the universe. It's like, you can't comprehend how big the universe is. It's hard to comprehend as an individual how long 2,000 hours or 1,000 hours or whatever the number is of work on a car is, because it's actual work. It's not just sitting in the garage and looking at the car and thinking, or buying stuff on the internet or buying parts, which is what a lot of people do. They get it all disassembled and then they're excited and they're online and they're searching parts and they're buying all these parts. And that's why I think a lot of project cars never get finished. Because once you really get into, all right, now it's time to start building, the amount of time you got to spend on all the little details to get it right is a lot more than what you're planning for. A really high percentage of these projects sit disassembled. Maybe there's a couple boxes of new parts and old parts in boxes. And, you know, they go up for sale after 20 years sitting in the garage. Or, hate to say it, but the owner possibly passes away and he's got 2 or 3 cars disassembled in his garage and he had great intentions to finish them, but just never was able to execute it properly. So, I can see why so many project cars never get finished, and there's so many half or restorations out there that just get abandoned because it is extraordinarily difficult to find the time to put into the car. Like, I'm working on this thing full time, and this interior has probably taken me about 2 weeks of just full-time work to get everything done. And, you know, I haven't built a whole car. It's just been putting in the door jambs, filling the holes, redoing the tabs to hang the dash, all these little miscellaneous things. It's just time and time, and just a lot of time. And you got to wait for, fiberglass fillers to dry, so you've got to really coordinate your work so you can stay busy while something's drying and you're doing something else. So yeah, really difficult to see a project through. It's unfortunate, but that's the way it is. So I bet you out there are thousands of project cars that have been torn apart with great intentions, and they just never get put back together again because it's a sacrifice. You're going to sacrifice time you would have spent doing something else, working on your project car. And 2 hours a day isn't going to get you very far very fast. So if you're serious about it, you're spending on the weekends, they're 10-hour days to make progress if it's just you working on the car. I don't know. It was a realization. What else do I have to do when I'm sanding fiberglass? And I'm just in my head, I'm thinking. And it occurred to me, like, this is a crap ton of work. And it's messy work, it's dirty work, it sucks. I know why these projects don't get finished. I know why somebody buys an old Europa that needs body work and it sits in the garage for 7 years and nothing ever happens to it, because it's overwhelming. It's just a ton of work, especially if you haven't done it before, because you don't even know what the first step is, right? So just a lot of challenges. Sometimes that works to our advantage. If we have the time and we can put it into a car like this, we can go out and look for those project cars that weren't finished, that are in pieces. And a lot of times they're not advertised, because it's hard to advertise a car that's not assembled, that's not running, because you're not going to get anything for it. So folks, just don't advertise them that much. Once in a while you'll see one, but not very often. But if you know somebody that knows somebody, or you know of one in a garage, those are the ones I love to buy, because you can get them for a really good price, because they're just a pile of parts that you have to put together. So you can't charge a lot of money for those cars. But if you know what you're doing and you're willing to hit the project hard, and you can purchase it for a low purchase price, that makes the project kind of worth doing. Especially if you're doing all the labor yourself, you get it inexpensively, you can afford to put, thousands of dollars into parts to get this thing looking really good and driving really well, and you've got the time to do it. Those are feasible projects in my mind. What I hate to do is go out and buy a car that's fully assembled, but it looks like crap, and the more you look, the more you uncover, like, everything needs to be gone through. Well, you got to take it apart. So that's days and days and days and days and days of work, just taking everything apart, taking stuff to the dump, throwing it out, figuring out what you need. You can skip that whole process by buying somebody else's project. I'm a big fan of going out there and buying somebody's project. I don't care if the motor's in the corner and it's like, I don't know if it runs. I don't care, because engines are pretty simple. You go through it, you put some new bearings in it, you can rebuild an engine as long as it's not seized up and it's not full of water and rusted and all that. But you kind of have a sense of that if you see a motor sitting in the corner of a garage. Sometimes you can tell by looking at it. You can turn the crank a little bit. You get an idea of the condition of the motor. Sure, there's always surprises, but if you're going to roll the dice, I feel comfortable in those situations buying that project. So, I mean, I could talk about this for a while. It's really, really interesting to me, and I'd love to hear some people who maybe fall into that category. Like, you bought a project car, and it's been sitting forever. What's keeping you from jumping back on it? Is it time? Is it money? Is it, I don't know what to do next? Is it, I can't find the right parts? There's a ton of reasons. Maybe an illness, heaven forbid. But yeah, let me know if you've got a car that you've bought as a project and it's just sitting and sitting and sitting, and you don't realize how much time's gone by, and you're like, wow, that was 3 years ago I bought that car and I haven't done anything with it. Tell me the story. I love to hear it. I love to hear it. And if you have taken an old project car like this and seen it all the way through to restoration, and you did all the work yourself, let me know what you think. How much effort was it? How much time did you spend? And how much did it cost? And you don't have to give me exact numbers, but order of magnitude, ballpark, that kind of thing. Really interesting to hear those stories, because that's something that's not talked about on these YouTube videos. The reality of a guy in a garage who loves cars, who wants to do a project car. Let's open up that dialogue. Let's kind of get that flowing, and so others can read it and have a more realistic expectation of what they're getting into. All right, that's it, I'm done. It's not a soapbox, it's just interesting. It was in my head and I wanted to share it. So those are my thoughts. Well, enough talk. I guess I gotta get back to it. All right, it's a new day. So yesterday I got the interior pretty much done. I did add some extra reinforcement up in the corner of that B-pillar. And down there, right there, where the cut was made to pull out the sill. So that's currently drying, but other than that, interior is good. So I'm calling it. The door jambs, all the structural's done. I put a little filler on this morning just to fill some low spots. Gonna let that dry and then sand that down, and then it'll just kind of be finish work on the door jambs. So now that that's done, I've turned my attention to the front of the car. I want to get this done before I send it off to paint. I've gotten almost all the hardware taken out. I still have that little tab right there to take off, which is in the way because I can't sand around it. So I need to do that, but everything else is out. All right, a bunch of holes into that airbox compartment. a lot of holes. So I've been grinding those down, and I'm going to I grind it down so it's really thin, and then I put some duct tape on the other side to plug the holes, and then I come in, I just put a little bit of filler, and then I fiberglass on top of that. The filler's just to fill the depth of the hole just a little bit. And then once I get it to the surface of where the fiberglass has been ground down, I'm going to put some fiberglass on there. So that'll clean that up. What I'm shooting for is a nice flat panel there with no holes. And you can see the seam up there. I got to take care of that. This side's a little lower than this side. So I'm going to come in with some fiberglass from there and feather it out. Then we can move on to some filler and get all that looking good. I've got a crack there that I need to fix. Looks like a crack there could be underneath that paint. Might be some old filler there. I've got a crack there on the corner of the radiator opening. And same on the floor. I know these holes were used by the factory for the tire hold down and the jack hold down and stuff like that. But my plan is I'm going to fill them all. I'm going to leave that hole and that hole because I think those are drain holes in case water gets in here. So I'll leave those, but fill these other holes. And let's see what's happening over here. A lot of sanding dust. But just, want to rough the whole thing up. See, like that corner, there's a bunch of fiberglass just kind of like built up. It's really rough. Don't like that. I got to get in there and clean that mounting right there where the radiator goes. It looks like it's got maybe some foam stuck to it or some tape. I don't know, but I got to pull all that off and sand it down so it's a smooth surface. And so the plan is I'm just going to give this front area, once everything's filled up, a coat of paint so it looks nice and tidy. Then I've got to come in and I've got to do this whole compartment here. I got to clean this up and make it look good and smooth, and so when we paint it, it looks nice. Once that's done, I did start filling holes back here in the engine compartment on the side panels. You can see that. I do have a lot of work to do on the back of the bulkhead. Even though the inside is done, the back still needs some love. And I had some holes over here too. So the plan is to clean all this up, but I'm going to do this when I finish the front. We'll take the body off, and then I can actually stand in here, and it'll give me really good access to everything. Because right now the engine's in the way, I can't do anything with the bulkhead. So that's the plan. All right, Friday morning, day 2. So I hit this in this front compartment yesterday, did some sanding, ground down all those holes, filled them with fiberglass, ground down all these cracks in this upper tray lip here and filling those. Got this corner fiberglassed in. So just waiting for this to dry right now, and then I'll continue to sand everything. You know, it's not going to be extremely smooth, but it won't be like it was. There won't be huge like elevation differences between the surface like there was before, like big clumps of fiberglass and big clumps of Bondo or whatever. So it'll be relatively uniform. So I have to wait for that to dry now, and then it'll be sanding again. Sunday afternoon. All right, so I got the front done. I'm really excited about that. That was my goal for today, to have that done so I can lift the body off and do the back. So I got that done. It's not perfect, but I don't care. It's just the front of the car. It's a storage compartment. It's not even the storage compartment. It's where the spare tire goes and the radiator and all that. So let me show you what that looks like. All right, there she is. I did a dark gray. I think that'll go well with green. And, you know, it's rough. It's not perfect. It's not smooth, but it's solid now. You know, I got that repair done there, and of course that's going to be body color, so I didn't paint any of that, but that is pretty close. The radiator mounting locations are all solid now. The fiberglass is good. It's kind of dark, can't really see, but she's all painted. Let me check this view, see what we get. Well, I don't know if you can see. I can't see because there's a wicked glare on the screen. But, hey, you know what? This is good enough for me. I'm calling this a victory. I am happy. Oh, you know what I do want to do, though? This hole it's supposed to be circular, so you can fit that rubber plug in there, and they cut it out to access the master cylinder. So now it's an oval shape, so I won't be able to seal it. You know, before I put this thing back together again, I may repair that fiberglass so I have a circle again and I can plug that. Because if I'm not mistaken, you know, I want the air to be directed to the radiator, so I don't want it, I want to reduce turbulence in here as much as I can. As a matter of fact, I'm actually pondering making an aluminum shroud that's going to run from this radiator opening down to the grill. Make it out of aluminum and kind of fit it in there and see if I can get the geometry to work out correctly. I know there's some ratios you got to pay attention to with regards to the opening in the grill and the actual size of the radiator and the angles at which you can run the ducting at to make it efficient and reduce turbulence. So I got to take a look at that. I might consider that, but I know I've also got to run air into the front air box, I believe. I need to check the plumbing on the car. So I might have to allocate some of that front grill for, if I take it all and put it into the radiator, I got to maybe allocate a spot over here that's going to go up into the air box. But again, I am just talking off the top of my head. I haven't looked at the actual ducting work for the car in the service manual or in the parts manual, so I could be totally wrong. I don't know yet. But anyway, that's a thought process for another day. For today, I'm happy that's done. This is the same color I'm going to do the engine compartment in. It's not a black, it's they call it pencil tip. So it's like a graphite dark gray, which I think looks pretty cool. There's the storage compartment. You know, I've done a little sanding, but you can tell it's not pretty. It still needs some work. But hey, one more job knocked off. I put a sample of that paint there. I just wanted to see what that would look like in the engine compartment. I think I like it. Like I said, I'm going to try to stay away from flat black. I'm just going for something different, right? Just a different look. All right, Lotus is back on the cart. I'm focused on the back. I did a little cleaning up in that area, and I got a piece of aluminum in there. That section was cut out, and I just feel it's appropriate to give it back to the Lotus, to give it back what it was born with. So I'm going to refiberglass that in. It looks like this was cut off a little bit too. There should be a lip, like that lip, and you can see it there, and then it stops. So it looks like somebody's cut that out a little bit too. I don't know if I'm going to replace that or not. Kind of making this up as I go along. But anyway, good news, it's on the cart. I'm hitting the back. So I kind of gave up early today. It got really hot out here and I just wasn't into it. It was one of those days, you know, you're just totally not into it. I just wasn't into it today at all. So I took a break this afternoon. Tomorrow I've got a free day. So I'm going to jump on it early before it gets too hot. Actually, it's going to cool off tomorrow, so I'm excited about that. And see how far I can get. But I'm gonna refiberglass that. I want to refiberglass those sections down there and there. Actually, they don't have. There's fiberglass on the perimeter, but then there's that like particle cardboard board stuff that they used on the bulkhead. So I think I want to fiberglass over that, but it's hard to get down in there to clean it up really well. So I'm gonna have to think about that and see how I can do that. But that's the plan. So I think that's a good place to end this video, this update. So I'm going to stop it there, and then hopefully the next update I do, the back will be done and the car will be heading off to paint. That's the plan. We'll see if I make it. So I just want to say thank you everybody for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I hope everybody's getting a little something out of these videos. If nothing else, you get to watch me agonize all over all this fiberglass work, which is not fun. So all right, till next time. See ya.